Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to the Music Lab podcast. My name is Dogg, and I'm so excited to be back with all of you for another episode of the podcast. Don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe to our YouTube channel, our social media pages. That helps us. That helps the bands and artists like Scribe. Also, check out our sponsor, RAR Outfitters. That's RAWR. Outfitters.com. Don't just wear, RAR. So, ladies and gentlemen, I am here, yes, with the artist named Scribe, all the way from Annapolis, Maryland. I think this is the first artist that we've interviewed from Annapolis. A bunch from Baltimore, a bunch from Baltimore area. So, Maryland in the house. Welcome, Scribe. How are you?
Good. How you doing?
Good, brother. So, I want to just get right to it. I want to know the history and and why you decided on the name Scribe for your musical endeavors.
Yeah, Scribe. It's with a K, Skribe. And it goes way back to like when I was in high school in Severna Park, Maryland. I didn't really know what my friend group was. Like, I had lots of friends, but like I did, I was kind of like played baseball, was kind of friends with those guys. I was not good at baseball, and then I was also kind of hanging out with like the skate crew, but like then there was like the kids that wore like you know uh kind of like punk rock stuff, and like I kind of had friends in all these groups, but I like to draw, and I like met like these kind of skater kids that like were they had these black books, um and they were like doing graffiti, but not like you know and they would go and do like actual graffiti, like good graffiti, and they were all really sick artists. And you kind of pass around your book, and you would tag each other's books, and somebody would give you their black book and you'd do your tag in there and then sign it kind of, and then they'd take yours, and that was just kind of like something they did. And I like was kind of hanging out with those kids because I like to draw, and they were like, somebody handed me their book and like tag it, and I was like, I don't have a tagging name, and they're like, we gotta have, you gotta have a name. So I kind of like, I guess like a week later, I like came up with Scribe, and I started like writing that in books, but I wasn't like very good. Like these guys were like really good at it. They've been doing it for a long time, and I felt kind of like, oh, well, I'm not that great, but I was kind of like ripping off their styles and like looking and like got into that world of like, which is awesome. Like those magazines back in the day, like they're actually print magazines, and they were like trains from all over the world and stuff. And I got really like into that, like graffiti, like artists like Catch One from Hawaii and stuff, which that influences a lot of my art to this day. But anyways, that's where Scribe started, which kind of didn't do anything with it for a long time. But then after like high school, I was working on my art portfolio and taking a couple like art classes in college to kind of like um build a portfolio because I wanted to get work. I wanted to start doing like freelance work, like posters for like big artists. That was like my dream at that time. Like I want to do like a poster for the Deftones or something like that. And I made business cards that said Scribe on it. And I was like, that'll be like my art name, my company name.
Sure.
And I made a bunch of these business cards at Kinko's, and I didn't know what I was doing. I would just like walk into the venues in Annapolis and be like, is the manager here? And they'd be like, yeah. And I'd go meet them. I'd be like, hey, can I do artwork for you guys? And they'd be like, and I'd give them this card that said Scribe on it. And then it had like my email and like my MySpace page on it.
Right.
And then I'd like not really hear anything back, like I don't know, like there's not very many venues that I think that in Annapolis that have like a budget for hiring a poster guy. And I knew nothing about how to like reach out to the band or there's a whole system there. And so I was kind of green. I didn't know what I was doing, but I walked in. There's this venue called the Whiskey in Annapolis. It's like this legendary place that was like everyone talks about. It's like the glory days of like the Annapolis music scene. It was like everyone would be there on any given night, and all different genres of music, and it's just great. Um, I walked in there and the manager was up in his office and I gave Mike my card and he looked at it and he goes, "This is cool." And I was like, "Oh yeah, thanks." And he's like, "Can you like, would you be able to like run our MySpace page?" And I was like, sure." And he's like, "Can you do the chalkboards every Tuesday and like put like the schedule for the week up there?" I was like, "Sure." And he goes, "How about one poster a week, chalkboards, and uh and the MySpace page?" And I was like, "Yeah." And he goes, "Cool." And then I was like working at the whiskey as the art guy. And whenever I would go in on Tuesdays and it was 2 for 1 drink night and it would get crazy. So I'd have to be done before like 9 o'clock because
Sure.
it would be nuts in there. So I would go in and I'd climb up on this stool and I'd do the chalkboards. And I met like all the Annapolis musicians and a lot of like the music family, the support, like a lot of people just from being this scribe art chalkboard guy at the whiskey. And then people would just be like introducing me as scribe. And then one week I'd been like writing songs in the background and not showing them to anybody. And I signed up for the open mic one night and the host of the open mic just wrote scribe down because that's what he knew me as. And I was like, and then I was like, I guess that, somebody asked like what the artist name was. I was like, scribe, sure. Yeah. And then we didn't change it.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, especially too from an artist standpoint, like Scribe is perfect. It just fits, right?
Yeah. And like a scribe, like before recorded content, um, like someone had to orate to a scribe and that's how like records were kept and like the history was preserved and things like that. It's kind of cool in that sense.
Yeah, you're kind of preserving history with your name, man.
Some kind of weird history that is.
So, do you write all of your music then on guitar, or do you play piano or any other instrument?
Guitar, yeah. um I pretty much always start with a melody on guitar. I don't think I've ever written lyrics first and then put guitar to it. It always starts with like a guitar riff or a chord progression.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Um, so what is it about Annapolis, the town itself, and then we'll talk about the music scene that it captivates you.
Annapolis.
Yeah.
It's just small town charm. Like there's just there's like a lot of you know a lot of like I don't know. There's something about a small town with like a big feeling and um like the architecture and the alleyways and like bumping into someone organically and things like that don't seem to happen so much in a big town, like in a big city. um Sometimes I feel like an ant or something, but in Annapolis it kind of feels like you kind of um like like everybody's like a character. It's like you can kind of see people's personality a little more because there's more space for that kind of stuff. And the town has a lot of charm and personality. um for a small town, we do have a big music scene, like a lot of, and everybody kind of know everybody, all the musicians like know and support each other too, which when I was just first starting out, I grew up in Severna Park. It's like 20 minutes to Annapolis, 30 minutes to Baltimore. And I was going to both areas to try and like get gigs and get my foot in the door. And Annapolis very much like every time somebody would kind of pull me and say, "Hey, meet this guy." Like, and in Baltimore, that didn't happen too much, but like maybe I wasn't going to the right places, but it just seemed to happen everywhere in Annapolis. Like the music scene feels like a family. It genuinely does. I know that's like a thing people say, but like it, it's just, everybody's looking out. It does feel like everybody's looking out for each other. It really does.
Yeah. Well, and one of the legends of Annapolis, like we talked about, before we started, Jimmy from Jimmy's Chicken Shack. Talk about your relationship with them and how, they really kind of inspired
Yeah,
him.
Jimmy Haha. Yeah. And when I was, when I was a wee lad, like 14, I was like buying Jimmy's Chicken Shack CDs from record and tape traders and saving up my lunch money to go to go buy Bring Your Own Stereo or something, and listening to that on my Iowa boombox in my bedroom that had like a Cal Ripken Jr. poster on the wall or something. Um, and then, I start playing gigs around Annapolis and like just bump into him. Like, there he is, like, wow, it's crazy. And he tells me like he likes one of my songs and super validating as an artist. And then next thing I know, I'm opening for the Chicken Shack at the Whiskey, and I'm like, this is insane. Like 14-year-old Aaron wouldn't believe this. Like Jimmy was on the Jerry Springer show. This is crazy, like it's and Jimmy runs a magazine called Upstart. He's very much involved with like boosting and amplifying the Annapolis community, and he's done a lot. Like, he we did an event recently, and he covered one of my songs, and that was like super validating and just mind blowing, and like really really cool. Like it's like one of the, it's cool when you play a gig and you get a round of applause, but it can be super validating. Like um, when you feel very seen when like kind of like someone that I listened to Jimmy's music before I even knew a chord on guitar, and I'm like watching him cover one of my songs, and it's cool how we're just like buddies now, like
Yeah,
it's cool.
it really is. It is such a great story, and like it's really validating for me too because I was a huge fan of them. Like because
Yeah,
I was in '94, I was 15, so like it was prime, like impressionable years.
totally.
I remember getting the whole band to sign the Pushing the Salmonella envelope, and I still have that CD.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's
Where
cool.
where's was what's the venue they would play near you? Well,
The Chameleon.
the Chameleon Club. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, the
Yeah, I haven't been
Chameleon.
there, but I have always heard about it. I think the Chicken Shack still plays there every once in a while.
It
No?
closed. No, they
It
closed.
closed.
Yeah, the Chameleon closed. So really in Lancaster now, you've got Tellus 360, which is kind of a bar, but not really a music venue. They have a stage, but it's, kind of eh. Then you have Phantom Power in Millersville, which that's where Jimmy's Chicken Shack usually plays now.
I
Um,
heard about that place.
Yep. And then in Harrisburg, there's XL Live, which is great. I have a good
Cool.
relationship with those guys. We were there Friday night to see Fits and the Tantrums
Oh,
and
cool.
Snack Time, which is a band from Philly. They're really good.
Snack time.
Yeah. They kind of have like a roots kind of sound, party music, like seven piece, brass. They're good. Yeah.
I like that. I like that band name, Snack Time.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the kind of band where like you're just walking down the street and you see a poster and it's like snack time. You're like, I gotta go.
Well, and it's cool too because they're all huge Sixers fans, so they all have jerseys that say Snack Time on the front,
Oh, cool.
like Sixers jerseys. So yeah. So yeah, big sports guy then, like growing up, or you said you didn't play sports, but did you follow like any of the Baltimore teams or
I was really into the Baltimore Orioles when I was like young, like when it was, I guess it was around 98 when they were just
Brady
crushing it.
Anderson?
And
Yeah.
like I was really into like video games, and I had the Sega Genesis with like Tony La Russa Baseball 98. And because like they would just kind of program the stats from the previous season or something into the game, like you could play as the Orioles and like win everything. And I just loved that game. It's like my favorite video game ever. And uh, the designated hitter, Harold Baines, like I would just like put him in like the power slot, and he would hit a home run like every single time. And like I would go like got like a Harold Baines shirt, and I'd go to the game and be like, he's my favorite player, and like it all came from like that video game, I think. But my dad was like really into baseball, always crushing like ground balls at me, and I'm like pushing me to to play. Like I I really did love it. I still have like that nostalgia for baseball growing up, and the Americana of like the diamond and stuff like that, and going to the park just feels like a religious experience. And the Orioles have an amazing park, and like when I'm on tour, like I made a point to stop at Wrigley Field to experience that, and like and to go to like Fenway, and like if I have the opportunity, like I'd love to go to a game, but following it. I don't have the mental space. I admire if somebody if somebody was talking about like name three baseball players right now. I don't think I could do it.
Yeah. Oh, good,
I'm not a
man.
good fan.
Oh,
It's all
good.
like give me the video game and then I'll tell you what's going on.
Just give me Harold Baines.
Just give me Harold Baines all day long. Look, my friend, my friend just came to my gig and gave me this Harold Baines baseball card,
That's amazing.
and yeah, he's the
That's so
best.
cool.
Harold Baines from St. Michael's, Maryland.
I did not know that. That's a beautiful town too, right? Tell the audience about St. Michael's.
Tell the listeners about St. Michael's. You said
Yeah.
St. Michael's is a, a beautiful small town. You know, it's like you go to like over the Bay Bridge to Easton on the eastern shore, kind of like come back around south and to it's almost like directly across the bay from Annapolis. I guess I don't know. Fact check that. I don't know, but I know that if you go past Easton and go south and keep going, you end up eventually in St. Michael's, and that's where the first Rise Up Coffee was. And I started going down there to check out the Rise Up Coffee, get coffee smoothies, um, bring your own banana coffee smoothies, and it's this little town with a couple ice cream shops, and at that time they had a skate park, and there's a place called Foxy's that has music on the water, and it's got really good food, and you know there's a history of it being there there's a history of it being uh, like a very like in its heyday was like crabbing and waterman industry. It's not really like that anymore, but it's really cool because like all the structures are still there, and they're like art spaces and antique shops and things like that. Wineries, there's a bunch of distilleries there. It's a cool like day trip. It really is. And um, I was reading about it recently because I just went down there for the day just to walk around and get some coffee and just kind of do some writing and stuff. And um, I was reading like something, some of the like Wikipedia to some of the history.
Yeah.
Um, and there was a um, like an African American owned like crabbing business, and that was I think one of the first in the nation. I'm not sure exactly what year, and the owner um, invented like the terminology that everyone uses, like backfin, lump, like those words was invented by this man who like just had his operation going in St. Michael's, Maryland, which is crazy. It's another like huge thing. It's used like all over the world and stuff, you know?
Yeah, that is funny. Like I never thought about that, like where the names came, like backfin.
Yeah. I think etymology is fascinating. Like when just thinking like why is that called that or why do we say that, and then you can actually like look it up and trace it back to something. I think that's fascinating, it's
Yeah.
really cool. But entomology is the study of bugs, so don't get them mixed up.
Right, right. Yeah, like why you park on a driveway but drive on a parkway, right?
Okay, okay, Seinfeld.
So you said you talked about the guitar, obviously, when you are writing music, but you also play a bunch of other instruments. Talk to the audience about that.
Yeah, um I like sorry, I'm in my van right now. I'm kind of on the road. I just played up in Maine. Shut up, R. Um, I just played up in Maine for the first time ever in Maine, and it was awesome. Absalom cider. It's like a cool farm. There's like chickens running around, and uh, just really, really cool vibe, and really nice people, and uh, they let me kind of like crash on the property. Like they're like, you can pitch your tent up there, and I was like, I didn't have a tent, so I slept in the minivan, which there's not a lot of room. So I was like right across the front seat here. I'm kind of getting used to it now. It just feels like my abode, so my
Sure.
office and everything. And I'm making my way back down to Annapolis, um, and we're making a stop in Milford, Connecticut, and checked out some food and some culture and some yes, and mostly some food and some beaches and stuff like that.
Nice.
Um,
I don't
but
like
yeah,
the state of Connecticut. It's just a parking lot to me. Every time I drive through that
yeah,
state.
yeah. I've never seen so much like sitting still on 95 in my life coming down from Maine to. I didn't realize that's what was going on up here. It's like maybe that's why like bands don't play up this way. Fix your roads and we'll come up. Nah, it's beautiful up here. But I agree. There was so much. Just why am I stopped on 95? And it was like every 45 minutes
And
for
it's
5 hours.
11
It's
a.m.
crazy.
Right?
But yeah, you asked me about the instruments I played, and I sent us off on a tangent. I'm sorry.
All
Um,
good.
yeah, I have this gas can that was handmade, one of a kind by my friend. It's a gas can guitar called a Kanjozuki. Um, and that's really cool. It's my friend Stephen Moore made it in Wheeling, West Virginia, Secret Devil tuning. Um, and you play it with a slide, and it's really gnarly. I got some like videos of that on YouTube. Um, and I picked up banjo a little bit. I I'm really I'm really impatient with like learning the picking methods, and I kind of just like do it this weird wrong way. Like what is wrong? I don't know. Like play it, you know, tell a punk band they're playing it wrong, and like tell any band that like has it like an original thing going on or a sound, you know, people are like, how'd you get that sound? It's like by not following the rules. And so like I always kind of like, you know, I don't teach lessons, but if I did, I would say like do it however you want as long as you're doing it. Um but so I don't really know how to play the banjo, but I like to put it in like a weird tuning and do cool riffs on it. And it's got four strings, and I don't really know exactly how they're supposed to be tuned, but it's really cool to just see what it sounds it makes.
Yeah.
And what I think different instruments will show you different songs. I write things on that banjo that I never would have written on a guitar. And I think that's really fascinating. And like, let the instrument tell you what it wants to tell you, kind of thing, without sounding too hippy dippy there. But um, I I got a little ukulele bass, which has like these rubber strings on it, and it's the size of a ukulele, but when you plug it in, you can you can it's fretless, and you can really get it kind of sounding like an upright bass. And I bought it because I wanted to learn bass, even if like taking some bass lessons, um, opened up my knowledge so that I was better able to communicate with bass players that were playing in my band, or sets. Then, that's great. Or if I'm writing a demo and recording it like at my home studio or car studio or wherever, I can I want to know enough about bass or playing the bass that I could kind of put in there here's what I'm thinking the bass does, and then you can hand that over to a bass player, and they like a real bass player, and
Sure.
then they can. So I got kind of obsessed with playing bass, just kind of in behind the scenes way, and filling in with my recordings, and then I signed up. I saw a flyer from Joe Lally from Fugazi, um, Discord Records, had this like little Xerox like printed out physical flyer that was like bass lessons, and it had like his email. And I signed up, and the next thing I know, I'm like on a Zoom call with Joe from Fugazi, and he's giving me like his like bass charts that he came up with like on his own. And like he also went to school in Italy, and like I believe, and he's just got a really cool he knows the theory, he knows the bass in and out, but he also it will also tell you like you break the rules too, like and he's so skilled, and he can do like any style of bass, and he's he was able to kind of word everything in a way that really helped me understand, oh, like that's what's going on. I was like, kind of trying to figure it out, and so I took lessons from him for a couple of years, and I ended up recording bass on a bunch of my recordings. So now, like if you listen to Undefined,
Yeah.
um, that's a song that's out on like the Bandcamp, and all streaming and everything. I had a lot of fun like writing that bass line on that's on the little ukulele bass. But you mix it right. You put some preamp and some like you put it in the mix just right, and it's like it sounds big, and you would never know. It's like this little kind of thing that looks like a toy. But I find the challenge of a new instrument to be really fun, and like again, you'll come up with something that you might never have come up with before if you kind of like put yourself in this different environment, you
Mhm.
know,
Yeah.
like what's this thing? How does it? And then next thing you know, it's showing you a different way, and you come up with a melody that maybe you never would have come up with before. I find that challenge to be like fascinating.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
Um,
so my
and
best
kazoo too.
friend, yeah, my best friend saw you at Ram's Head, I guess the last time that you played there.
Hmm.
And you had like a loop, like you were doing a lot of looping. I guess with being able to play that many instruments, do you do that in your solo sets usually, or how do you approach your solo sets?
I I was really I was really trying to do the loop pedal thing for a while, and I knew that like trying to trying to take a band on the I wanted to play full time, and trying to take a band on the road and play out all the time is just unrealistic. It's a lot to ask from people that have families and day jobs, and I knew that I was going to have to figure out some sort of solo thing,
Hmm.
and and I wanted to kind of be do a little more than just play acoustic covers in the corner. And I thought like, yeah, something like the loop pedal. There's a lot of people that do that really well, where it almost sounds like there's a full band playing.
Absolutely.
And I was trying to figure out something where I could do the bass line, I could do this, and I got I I kind of got to this place where I I felt like I was leaning on the looping stuff a little too much.
Okay.
Like I don't have any like I don't think of it as like a purist mentality or anything. I think I like an artist like Zach Deputy or Reggie Watts. Like those guys they're doing like something that is just the loop itself is a different instrument, and it's like an art form, and
Mhm.
it's really cool. And that's like taking the technology of the day and like creating with it. And people are always going to do that. And like, but I realized that what like the voice that was inside of me and the songs that I wanted to make, I think should be more raw, and like the voice and the instrument should be, and because I was like laser focusing on like how to make the beat and like this and that, and it was kind of pulling me out of like being present.
Mhm.
And that's just me. So like I kind of like shed that off. But for a while I was having a lot of fun trying to do the beat and the bass line and the thing and then singing on time. And it's cool. Like, it's like you're like in the studio a little bit, like on stage. It's cool.
It's almost for the audience too. It's like seeing the cooks in the kitchen, like
Yeah.
so I mean, I think I love the process, like I love starting out with just, either a guitar riff or whatever, a piano, and then how it evolves. Like, I think that's the cool part of it. But to your point, I think you're right. It is when you try and focus too much on that part of it and then not about the music itself, then you kind of get lost in it, right?
And my personal struggle is always with the lyrics. Like I I love writing music, and coming up with like a melody or a chord progression or a riff. Like I have like hundreds of them like recorded in my voice memos on my phone. And if you open my lyric book, it's a lot of just scratched out things that I'm like, so like it's a very like I've always have it's never gotten easier for me to write lyrics. It's gotten harder. Like I look back at some of the first songs I've written, and I remember just sitting down and writing them and not criticizing them and not filtering. And I'm like, that's pretty good. Like, how did I do that? Because now I've come up with all these reasons not to let like I've come up with too many filters or something. And the struggle is always like, you know, and so one way that I've kind of like worked with that is to just really face face that part head on, like the vocals and the lyrics should be the main focus.
Hmm.
And then your music is serving that. And I kind of had to take away some of the things like the loop. It's like when I go play a show, I really think that all of my everything I'm doing should serve like that lyric coming to you, and that's just what works best again for I think my music. And I love just jamming, but like for Scribe stuff, it's like it's in my best interest to put the lyric like out front and have everything else kind of support that, you know.
So ideally, do you feel like your music that you've written so far, is it more ideal like in a solo setting, or is it better with a full band?
Oh, that's such a good question. You know, are you kind of asking like
Yeah. Mhm.
my personal like I think it's like I feel like I'm going to give you like a cop out answer like like it's I love both very much.
Mhm.
Like I I love I love playing with a full band, and there's it's like there's like it's almost like a exchange. It's like, and I think that's what music really is at its core. Like the definition of music is like harmonizing, and like that's what music does. And when you're playing to a crowd, you're like exchanging information and energy and feelings, and like that's really what music is all about.
Mhm.
But there's something really cool about stripping it all away and like being solo, and then it's just you and the crowd, and you're having that dance like, and it's cool to navigate. um it's kind of lonely and up there on stage sometimes, and it's kind of scary because if something goes wrong, it's like you can't blame it on the bass player, you know.
I think
That's a joke, but
no, no, no.
um
I think though, for just from talking to you, like pre-recording and now recording, like I think it might serve your music might serve you better solo because of your personality. Because I'm sure like you can share a lot more. Like it's a lot harder to talk in between songs if you're in a full band than if you're a solo artist. Fair to say?
that's true. Yeah. And I really like to do the storytelling thing, at least right now. I
Right.
have it in my mind that I'm in this phase right now where I'm going into singer-songwriter mode, and I'm going to be touring solo. A lot of that, again, is because right now in the world, it's really hard to, if you're an indie band, to throw a bunch of people in a van and go out and play and sleep on couches, pay your bills, and like it's just not realistic, and it's hard to do, especially if you're trying to get your name out there and your foot in the door in places. And so I can do that solo. Like I can drive 12 hours and play and take on that risk. And if the gig isn't that great, it still might be enough for me to like eat and sleep on somebody's couch.
Sure.
And you're not like you know, splitting like three guys splitting $100 is like nothing. But like if that's all you get in your one guy, it's like that's okay. At least that's gas. We're not like, you know, but like sometimes, you know, it really love to have somebody else in the van who could help drive, or like a buddy to write with. And you're going to come up with really cool stuff when we're exchanging with other people. Like you're going to come up with like that's where magic happens a lot of the time. Um, but yeah, the solo thing, one of my favorite things about playing solo is that I know all of my songs that I've ever written.
Mhm.
And I don't have to write a set list, and I don't have to have a rehearsal. I don't have to have three rehearsals for one gig. It's cool to do that. I think I wish I had the opportunity more. I wish I had more full band gigs, and I love rehearsing, getting really tight with a band and doing a big show. That's so cool. I love it so much. Those are kind of like special occasions for me right now. And I'm really lucky that I have tons of like good friends that are killer musicians that I could maybe book for like a one off, and they're going to do their homework and knock it out of the park. I'm like really lucky to have those friends. And, uh, but I do a lot of the solo thing, and not having to write a set list, and like just getting up there, and you can kind of vibe out like what's going on. Like this probably the song I should start with. And then you can organically go and write the set list as you're going and what you're feeling like playing. And if somebody calls something out, you can just do it without hesitation. And it just, there's like this seamless energy that happens where, and the same thing can happen if you've been playing with the band for a really long time, but like, I'm kind of in a position where if I want to do a full band gig, you kind of get some, see who's available and put together a killer band and make a big event out of it, which is really fun. And I love doing that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And in the studio, we do that too. We'll like, you know, oh, I got this track. You send it to everybody and then you all meet up for one day and cut something. And that's a good way to do the studio tracks too.
So we've talked about a little bit about Ram's Head, obviously. What are the other music venues currently in Annapolis that are supporting like independent, like live music?
49 West
Okay.
is two doors down from Ram's Head, and they have, it's like a coffee shop in the front room, and in the back room it's like a sit down. You get some dinner, get some drinks, you have some table service, and a lot of times there's a songwriter night back there, storytelling songwriter night, or a jazz night, or there's always something going on at 49 West. I mean, we're doing I do the first Monday of every month is my night where I host a show, a songwriter showcase. I curate it. I try to get, when we have a touring friend coming through, I usually like that, and we call that the back room sessions. We're not doing it next month because it's Labor Day Monday and they're closed, but it's the first Monday of every month.
Okay.
And that's kind of like a lot of original artists, songwriters, home base around the Annapolis area. Next door to that is Stan and Joe's, and they always have live music, full bands, trios in the window. It's like classic dive bar vibes, but there's a lot of like killer bands that play there, and you can get like right up and you're like 2 inches from the band, and it's just like when Mr. VCR plays there, it's just awesome. It's like that place is like the floors are shaking.
Okay.
Um, and yeah, we have the Metropolitan Lounge is kind of coming back on the second floor. For a while, it shut down, and they were doing like just special events, like you could reserve the floor and do like a wedding after party there or something. But now they're like, I starting to see posters, and like a couple times a month they're doing shows again. And at one point, like Patterson Hood played there, and like
Oh,
they
nice.
were having like the Heartless Bastards came through, and like it was cool. It was like there were like names coming through that like and it was more fun to go to Ramsey because you could like jump around. There wasn't like seats. So hopefully that comes back around because that was the Metropolitan second floor is a good spot too.
Yeah. So I guess like, do you feel then like between Baltimore and Annapolis? I mean, you mentioned this before, but like, is there some sort of like, I don't want to say like rivalry, but like, is there a lot of interspersing between like the artists that are in Baltimore with Annapolis, or is it you guys kind of stay to your own?
Um, the longer that I've the longer that I've played music, the more people I've met from the Baltimore scenes. But I feel like Baltimore's got like pockets, and I don't even really know like what's going on. Like I love the 1919. I love Cat's Eye Pub. There's a bunch of spots that like if I'm around Baltimore, I'm definitely going to go check out like Ricky at the Admiral's Cup, like Ricky Wise. And I'm good friends with a lot of those guys and big fans of like Caleb Stein. I don't know if you've heard of him, but he's
Yeah.
amazing. And he played at 49 West in Annapolis tonight.
Oh, nice.
If I was in Maryland, I would be there. Um, but yeah, Baltimore, it's like I feel like it's hard to keep up. Things are, where like where's the spot right now? Like Zissimo's in Hamden is doing songwriter nights and things. Um, it's when I first started out, I was into dipping into both scenes, trying to get my foot, just trying to get gigs when I didn't have any. And I noticed that like Annapolis, the people in Annapolis, I would meet somebody and they'd kind of invite me in and introduce me to people and come on, hey everybody, this is Scribe. And I wasn't for whatever reason, I wasn't getting that in Baltimore. Maybe because it's more spread out and like I wasn't going to the right places, but it was like effortlessly in Annapolis. I guess everybody kind of knows each other. It's a small town and like kind of like a family, like literally a family. And they are like kind of come on in. Hey guys, this is Scribe. Like and it just organically seemed to be like, okay, this is my scene, you know, but also, yeah, like there's a lot of Baltimore artists that come down and play my showcase or any of the showcases at 49. And um, like I consider, you know, Baltimore and Annapolis to be the same scene a lot of times, you know, like Maryland family.
Right. As it should be, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. It always has fascinated me that like big tours, like national tours, often you don't see Baltimore and DC in like their itineraries. Like, and I've asked Baltimore artists, and they kind of think it's just kind of like that because you're too close to Philly, you're too close to like Pittsburgh, you're too close to like other major cities that they just kind of like skip you. Do you ever
Yeah.
feel that?
Yeah. I noticed that like when I look at the like lineup at the auto bar, I don't really recognize anybody anymore, but maybe that's just because I'm not hip to what's going on these days. But I do kind of notice that. I used to go see shows in Baltimore all the time. Maybe, uh, and I just thought like maybe venues are closing down and different ones are opening up. And DC's got a lot of cool spots. Like I love the Black Cat. Like that's a great venue. Um, and and
Songbird,
like
have you been to Songbird yet?
I have not been to Songbird, but I know
Songbird's
I've
cool.
seen a lot of people like announce shows there and do posters and stuff. It looks cool. Yeah. Um, but yeah, I've noticed that it's like when big tours, like I guess you know, like that level of like 930 Club is I'd say that's a pretty big venue, and
Mhm.
it's it's I feel like I should drive out there more often to see shows, but um, you know, it doesn't seem yeah it does it. I drove up to Cleveland one time to see a show just because that was the closest they were coming, so I kind of
Yeah,
know what you're talking about.
yeah, yeah. So 930 Club, it's a great venue. I've seen many shows there, but I have heard from many artists and many bands that when they play there, that venue will take up to 40% of the
Whoa.
merch.
Wow.
Yeah.
But they give you the cupcakes though, apparently.
Yes.
40% of merch?
Yes.
Man, you know what I'd do is I'd get somebody to just like, you know, the guys at the baseball games that are selling the bootleg memorabilia out in the street.
Yep.
I just give all like, just give all the merch to somebody and put it out there. Like Rage Against the Machine would do that at their own shows. They would have their, they would have their merch outside in the parking lot, the official merch, and just so that the venue couldn't take a percentage of it because screw them, right?
Yeah, yeah. I know that it was prevalent, and I think because there was enough stink about it. But like I've known like other artists that said like some venues have charged like 20% or 25%. But 930 Club was the clear winner
Wow.
in the percentage game. Yeah, so you will. Yeah, if you do ever play there, don't sell merch.
If I play there, I'm gonna bring in like a bunch of crap that's like those toys that you get from gumball machines, and they're all gonna be like 25 cents, 10 cents, 10 cents, and they'll all say like screw 930 on them, and then they'll have to like write a check for like, and then no, don't forget your percentage. You got to take yours.
Yeah,
Your 15 cents. You got to take it.
yeah.
I
I
don't
think
know.
it's a great idea. So let's talk about you got to work at Ram's Head for 7 years, correct? You had a weekly gig there, right? Or a
I think it was
monthly?
just about like the Rams Head in Annapolis. Um, yeah, if you haven't been there, it's like a dinner theater, sit down, like 350 people, stage, um, like a kind of like a big stage, full bands play, and it's like a sit down show and dinner table service kind of thing. And then there's the that's the venue, and national artists come through there, and and then out in the bar is the tavern, the Rams Head Tavern. They're connected, and they have they have like local and regional musicians playing in the window. And so usually I would come in at like 10, come in at like 9 o'clock and set up. And whoever was the national act was playing on stage would finish, like right around 10, those doors would open and people come out. And then it was like time for me to start in the tavern. And, hopefully they're going to be like, oh, what's going on over here? And like, they just had a good time at a show. They want to keep the party going. So they come over into the bar section. And so I did that like every week. It was like my bread and butter for a while. Like when I would go on tour, you know, you'd get somebody to kind of cover and like always have that Sunday night gig. And I loved it. Like I knew, like even if I had like a gig rained out or something cancel, I always had like the Rams Head gig to lean on. And I met so many of the national acts would kind of, after they were done packing up, they'd come over and have a beer and like hang out. Next thing you know, they'd come up and they'd be like, you'd be talking to them or they'd be buying a merch uh, or like even like jamming sometimes late night. Um, it was, it was like a really cool gig. That helped me like really get my like some traction. And also there's something to be said about playing once a week, like, always getting, that was right around the time I started really playing all the time. And like trying out new songs. I loved having that residency gig. And I would try to do like, majority for like a 3 hour gig, try to do the majority like originals as much as possible. And the bartenders were like, we all were like friends, and it was like a well-oiled machine, and it just felt like you were hanging out with your friends in there every Sunday night. And service industry people would come through attend. Yeah, and I did that for like 7 years. Um,
Wow.
and I loved it. And then like, the pandemic shut the world down, and then Rams had kind of closed down. And uh, when it came back around, it was like all different, just like everywhere. I used to I used to take a tour down to Key West and back every January, and I had all these spots I would play, and it was years of going down there and trying to get my foot in the door and like make connections. And then, pandemic shuts everything down, and those people aren't just kind of sitting around waiting for that job to come. They have to kind of work and go somewhere where there is work. And when the world opens back up again, it's like all my contacts are gone. I can't do that tour anymore. And I know there's so many, every job was affected. Everybody's lives was affected by that. So many jobs were affected in different ways. It was just for a lot of indie musicians, it's like starting over again, and with a lot of people, it's like starting over again.
Yeah. So, over those 7 years, could you definitively say like the genre of music that more people would like come over to like see your show after 10 o'clock? That like they were more ready to party than like other genres of music fans, maybe?
Oh, interesting. Yeah,
Like
that's a really good question.
yeah,
And
like
I'm
if
like kind of
Steel Panther,
replaying a bunch
yeah,
of
if
Sunday
Steel
night.
Panther came through, like, were their
It
fans
was,
crazy or?
it was like, um, it was like bands like Los Lobos, or like, like they're these like veteran guys that have been touring forever and they still are crushing it and getting weird. And like you'd see their like fan base and everyone looked like they'd like, lived on a pirate ship or something like that. And you're like, this is going to be a fun one. And they were all super like nice and like would be throwing money in the tip jar and be like, rock on, brother. And like, those guys are really fun. And, but then there would be these nights where, you know, sometimes when it was like a singer songwriter night in there, depending on the artist, like everybody would come out and they'd be like, they'd all look sad, and they just I just want to go home. I want to go home and have some tea and go to bed. And I'd be like, no, come on over here. We're going to have fun. I promise, like I promise no sad songs. I'll play something happy. But sometimes sometimes people would just go walk straight out that door. And sometimes they'd come out and they'd be like, you'd hear the encore in the other room. And I'd be sitting there because I have to start as soon as it's in my best interest to start as soon as those doors open. And I'd be like ready to go. And then they're doing like rock and roll ending bam, 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 for like 10 minutes. And then they're like encore. And then like, I'm just kind of sitting there like for 20 minutes, like waiting to start. And then, but when the doors open, they're all having a blast and they want to come over and have another beer, and then you end up like just and that's where I learned that first set. Like if you have a 3 hour gig, I'm sure a lot of musicians might want to maybe do a set, take a break, do a set, take a break, do a set like 45, 45, 45, or something like that, which I think might be the norm. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I I learned that if I did that, like if I had that crowd's attention, that crowd comes over from that gig, they're all buying rounds, and they're paying attention because they're still feeling the buzz from that show that they just saw, and they want more. And and then you kind of like harness that, and then you have that the attention is like gold for a musician, and you want to hold that, you want to keep that fire going, right? And if you take your break at 45 just because that's what you do, that fire goes out and everybody has an excuse. Oh wait, it's late, like I'm gonna go. So what I learned is I would no breaks. If there's people in here, I'm not taking a break, because what the hell? It's like if everybody leaves, it's just not. I'm going to be playing to like the sad guy drinking at the bar over there, and that's I don't know what he wants to listen to, but I probably don't know it.
He wants
He's
Billy
probably not
Joel.
here to. Did I make him sad? Did I make him this way? He doesn't seem to be enjoying my set. but like I would sometimes play an hour and a half, an hour and 45 minutes, and a lot of those people would stay, and then you do want to take a break though to like, you know, get up and maybe talk to some people and like sell some records or something like that. Like, so I feel like it's, there's a, it's, well, if you have somebody like helping you with the merch and stuff, like then you don't, they can handle that. But if you're a one-man band, you got to figure out how to do that little maneuver. I don't know. I need a dog or something that can like sell merch for me, you know?
Just an AI robot, right? That's what.
Yeah. Me and the AI robot rolling down the street. Well, what's this guy doing? It's like, oh, he sells the kazoos,
He has like a cowboy hat on.
He's got a cowboy hat on. We're not sure if Elon Musk is listening to the conversations in the van. Who knows?
It smokes cigarettes.
Yeah, it's a cigarette smoking AI cowboy hat wearing robot.
You can't let it sell vinyl because it'll ash on the vinyl.
Don't worry, he's programmed to smoke cigarettes and sell kazoos. That's it. And he's like, I am sentient.
And it's Newport. It's only Newport.
Wow. I think this needs to be like a new Scribe t-shirt or something.
Yeah, man. Yeah, so let's get into that, man. So not only are you a musician, but like you are a really good graphic design artist. Like
Oh,
what
thank you.
what got you into that? And like, what were the paths that you took down that expertise?
Yeah, my dad is my dad was a like a really great artist, and he was like a professional commercial artist. He actually did stuff for like the 76ers and the Baltimore Orioles, and he did like covers for Game Pro magazines, and he had a studio with like an airbrush in our basement, and it was really cool because it was before Photoshop kind of took over the industry for like graphic design. That's like the main, you know, that's like kind of like the main tool these days. But before that, everything was, a lot of stuff was done by airbrush, and like cut it. If you needed a circle, you'd cut it out with an X-Acto knife and make a stencil and spray it. And so I would like, as a kid, like watch my dad like doing that and in our basement. And then I'd go to the grocery store, and like the thing that he drew like was on the cover of like a magazine at the grocery store. I was like, I watched him do that in my basement. Like, and so like seeing that as a kid is just like, it's just like, you're like, wow, that like you can like draw something, and then it's like out in the world. Like that was just really cool. And I just grew up, not only was he encouraging me to draw, my parents were encouraging me to do art a lot. Like, I just being able to just look over his shoulder and watch it manifest, like watch it happen, just became norm. Like, like growing up with that, it's like talking like and stuff, it's just like, that's just a way of life. And I picked it up from him for sure. And I was obsessed with like Super Mario and Ninja Turtles. And I think it's super cool. And like one of my friends' kids will be at a show drawing, and they're drawing like Ninja Turtles and Mario. And I was like, not, and like nothing's really changed. Like that's what I was doing, like 38 years ago, or you know. Um, but it's then it moved on to like Ren and Stimpy. You remember Ren and Stimpy? Like I was obsessed with drawing Ren and Stimpy and those cartoons. And then uh, like a lot of times when I go to see a show, like at a venue, I will walk. I can't wait to go look at the merch and like see like oh, that's a cool T-shirt, that's a cool design. I've been staring at all the stuff you got behind you, like I just that's how my brain works. Like I love rock posters and rock T-shirts, and like um I I like constantly like thinking about an idea for a shirt, like writing it down in my book. And recently I've been enjoying like hiring an artist that I like to do some merch. It's really cool. Um it's really exciting. And so it's like you give someone an idea, or you say, hey, like surrender the idea. Like you do so like do you listen to this song and do your interpretation of it. And then what they come back with is something you never would have thought of. And it's also really exciting because you're already a fan of their work.
Yeah.
And it's like I love doing that. And I've been doing that a lot recently. But when I first started out, like kind of in the Annapolis music scene, didn't have very many gigs, but I was really trying to get my name out there as a graphic artist. And I would I was meeting bands and saying like, hey, like I need work. Like I was trying to pay my rent. I was trying to like I don't want to work at this uh of where was I working at the time? Well, I think it was like making subs or something. I don't know. And I wanted to like draw. I want to do the MySpace page for the whiskey or something. Um, but meeting bands and just be like, hey, let me do a logo for you. And they're like, how much? And I'm like, oh, I don't know. Whatever you think. I don't know. I don't know how to do this part. And then going home and I'd stay up till like 4 in the morning, like doing sketches. And then, next thing I know, I'm doing artwork for like, I do artwork for like the higher hands, and then their merch comes out, and then they're like, another band's like, where did you get that? And then they're like, oh, this guy's, and then kind of like start to get, and next thing I know, I'm like doing like stuff for like Sweet Lita and um Leo and Sing. It's a lot of like, it just kind of got, it was like fun, but like it's also like a lot of work because you're
Or-
coming up with concepts and stuff. Because um sometimes it's tough when you don't have like the idea, and sometimes the band comes to you and they have an idea, and sometimes they just want you to kind of interpret and do whatever because they like your stuff.
yeah.
Sometimes it feels like mind reading where they're like, draw something cool, and you draw something and they're like, nah, something else, and you're like, well, we're not just going to draw for eternity until we randomly come across something that you think is cool. um but it the more I got like gigs and stuff, the more I just haven't had time to do the artwork as much as I want to. But I still try to do like canvases and things. Like it's really cool to draw in the to paint or draw, and I admire artists that can do it in like almost like a release type of way. Like if you were to just sit in your room with a piano and make noise instead of trying to like structure a song out, or
Mhm.
like a band just jamming without any script. And like I like sometimes like painting like that, where you just kind of go in with no intent and see what happens. And I think that's really cool, a really cool way to, and it feels almost like therapeutic too.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to do that a little bit more. Keep some canvases. I keep some canvases in the roof rack above my van so that I can paint if I want to. And on my way up to Maine, like some guy pulled up next to me. He's like, "Hey man," he's like pointing, and I'm like, "What?" And I pull out, get over, and like my roof rack was like open, and like the paintings were like starting to like cut like fly out. And luckily, I don't think I lost any of them, but they almost all ended up on 95.
Not in the parking lot.
the parking lot. Yeah, it's not like they would have gotten run over because nobody's moving anywhere.
Just the wind would have taken them.
Yeah, some seagulls would have
Yeah,
gotten a piece of that.
right. A little pecking.
Mm-hmm.
So, so let's talk about. I want to talk about a couple songs in particular, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Miracles of Alchemy. We talked about this pre-recorded, but it to me it does. It sounds like you're talking to yourself in front of the mirror. Talk about the the evolution of that song and when you originally wrote it to what it means now to you.
Yeah. Um, I I when I was approaching that song, I had a lot of times when I'm writing a song, like we were talking about earlier, how like lyrics are always really tough. Like what am I going to write about? Or like you kind of have this blurry concept, and I'm trying to like wait. Like I keep hitting like the flint, and the sparks are going, but they're not catching. And then something happens, like you get like one line down and then it catches, and then it's like a flurry of stuff. And sometimes it feels like I'm not necessarily sitting down and like, okay, this is the lyrics I want to write right now. Sometimes it feels like you're keeping up with that fire and it's just coming out, and you're not. And like sometimes I look at the page and I'm like, I think I know what it means, but like, sometimes you pick up your guitar and you don't even have a pen and paper, and you're just making noises or saying things, and it's like, and then it starts to take shape as you write it down. And when I'm trying to think of with Miracles of Alchemy, I think I was writing within the DAW, like the recording software.
Okay.
I had some mics set up. I was like, I had a diner table that I got at a thrift store with my computer on it, and I was using my X-Air mixer, and I had that running in, and some mics running into that, and I was recording into Reaper, and I like got a click going, and I kind of put a riff down, and then it started to take some structure, and then I took a pair of scissors, and there was like a drum a floor tom I was using as like like a little side table. I started like hitting that and just trying to make a song like with everything that was around my desk. And then it like took shape, and I was like, oh, this is like a 3-minute song. I should put like a bridge in here or whatever, and like kind of pieced it all together. And then opened my notebook to like one of the most recent page, or maybe like a random page, where one day I was in the car and I thought of something and I wrote a couple lines down. I always carry a notebook with me in case that happens. And I opened up to something, and I remembered the moment I wrote it down. And um it was like the concept of like pressure making diamonds. And I think my note was something about like if you're really, 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 really hard on yourself, like you might push yourself to do some great things, but like you're also gonna like really beat yourself up. And there's a lot of artists that I can think of that I really love, like somebody like Elliott Smith, like like a tortured soul who made like, or like Van Gogh, or somebody, like you hear about these artists that were just tortured people and very dark. And did they have to go there to access their greatness? And sometimes, sometimes I feel myself slipping into that, and I don't want to do that. And I kind of wrote this song from from like the mindset that like uh, slipping in, like you don't have to be. It's like looking in the mirror and telling me like, hey man, you don't have to get all dark and moody to make art. You can just make art. Because I think if I left unchecked, I might get a little too moody and light candles and play with feedback. And I don't know, sometimes like in art, that um it's cool. Like a lot of times when I write lyrics, I write depressing stuff comes out, and I don't know why, but I don't always want to make that. I don't want to always every time I go play a gig be the sad guy that's everybody's walking out of the show sad. I want to have fun, So like I guess that's what the message of this song is kind of like telling the listener, um, you know, putting all this pressure on yourself. Like you might have miracles of alchemy, but what use is a diamond, if you're living in a fishbowl. So that's kind of like the hook of the song. And I've played it out, and I've still, I still kind of like, I feel like songs are kind of road tested and they find their real voice, like when you're traveling and stuff. Um, and playing them in front of crowds, and they really like kind of find their legs and stuff, especially a song you wrote in the doll, maybe, like more so than one you wrote with friends in a room.
Yeah.
But this one in particular, it still kind of feels like, what do I say? Like what we're talking about now, like, how do I say that on the mic? Like, how do I kind of introduce the song when we're at a show? Like, what's the elevator? What's the short way? And I kind of just lately been saying, like, I wrote this song for a friend who was struggling. And it's like, and that seems to kind of, it's enough where like it kind of sets the context a little bit so that the lyrics make sense without having to do this giant spiel. Cause sometimes I start talking like I don't, sometimes I start talking a little too much on the microphone and people are like, shut up and play a song.
Heard. Yeah, I mean, and like we said before, like that's your personality, man. Like I think
Talk too much.
you got to rein it in, I guess, like a
Yeah.
horse in the saddle.
Or maybe I should start a podcast, man.
There you go, man.
I might have some questions for you.
So, let's talk about, I mean, have you like personally had any struggles with addiction or anything, or what's your take on all that?
I've, yeah, I've had issues with depression, um, in my life. And yeah, my dad, I lost my father to suicide when I was pretty young. And I've been like pretty like dealing with like depression ever since. And I really try to talk about that a lot with my music and really music. I feel like there was times in my life where if I didn't have music, it's the world would be a dark place. And I think that music is like a very healthy outlet for to turn to instead of yeah um it's like you can put music in. You don't have to put these other things in. And music doesn't have like these side effects or like crippling uh psychological effects. Well, it depends on what music you listen to, I guess. But sorry, I keep doing this thing with the door so that the light stays on.
Oh, good, bro. Hey, man, life on the road, it ain't easy.
Yeah, getting kind of steamy in here. This is my office, my bedroom, and my cockpit.
Ay, ay, ay. Well, as a man, it would make sense it's cockpit. So the next song I want to talk about, Mayonnaise and Honey.
Yeah.
It's got this bluesy feel to it, and like you said, it kind of started out more acoustic and then it kind of evolved, right?
Yeah, that was one of the first songs I wrote with like back in like 2007, and I was like really into the Black Keys, and I just wanted to like a friend of mine gave me this like Fat Possum sampler that had um like Bob Log, the Black Keys, Black Diamond Heavies, and it was like all these like sludgy, muddy punk bands, and I really like loved that record. But when I would pick up my guitar, more Americana folky stuff would come out, and I always wanted to just like crank up like an old harmony amp and get it fuzzed out and do like that Black Keys thing. And I guess Mayonnaise and Honey was my like attempt to just like tip of the hat to the Black Keys and kind of maybe feel what that would feel like. And I never really, I played it. It didn't really feel right acoustic solo, and it didn't really fit into the set. And then years later, like in 2014, I met this drummer, this killer drummer. His name's Justin Kruger, and he plays with Pressing Strings. I don't know if you've heard of Pressing
Yep.
Strings. Those guys are awesome. They're from Annapolis, and they're doing big things now. And uh, Justin's on the road with them, and at the we had started jamming together around 2014, and I showed him that song, and he started like jamming like really heavy on it with the kit, like his like Patrick Carney style. And I was like, whoa, this is how the song goes, you know? And so that's pretty much how it ended up on that Postcards album, because it just found, you know, sometimes if a song doesn't feel right, it's okay. You don't have to put it on the album. You can maybe like, okay, we can wait a little bit until it, and then and then you're like, that's it right there. Like it needed to find Justin, you know, and there it is, you know?
Yeah, you hear a lot of bands and artists that will shelve a song for years and then
Yeah.
come back and revisit it or
And that's why when like a 10th anniversary box set comes out, you see like all the extra songs that didn't make the cut. That stuff's cool, right?
yeah, yeah, absolutely. One of my favorite bands, My Morning Jacket, is doing the 20th anniversary of their album Z.
Oh, cool.
So they're doing that, I think, in New York in October. So I think we're going to try and go for that.
Well, that's a great band, man.
Oh, man.
There's that
GPA.
like video. I forget. It's like a live video of them playing One Big Holiday, and it starts off and they're in the huddle
Yeah.
backstage. And I was like, I want to be in that band. That looks so fun, you know?
Yeah, they're just a well-oiled machine, man. Like they just played 2 nights at Red Rocks. Yeah, it's there's something. So I want to know you as a musician, and I ask this a lot to most of my interviews. Your favorite way and place to listen to music.
Favorite way of well, for a while, I would say vinyl. Like I love collecting vinyl. I love digging. I love just buying like finding something at a yard sale and like putting it on, seeing what it's all about. But for a few years, I just have all my vinyl in a storage unit, and I don't even have one set up, so I can't call myself a vinyl aficionado. I still collect a little bit, but um, I I think I revisited cassette tapes lately, and those are cool. They sound, for some reason, they sound way better than I thought they would. For some reason, I thought it was going to sound thin and cheap, but it sounds good.
Yeah.
And I kind of like how it's difficult to skip songs, so you kind of listen to the album all the way through. I really like that. I like I like checking out, you know, I mean, I like my favorite way to listen to music right now is the question, right?
Yep.
I would say there's nothing like going into a small to mid-sized venue, not a big one. Like I'd even say 930 Club is a little too big.
Yeah.
Like when I go into something that's maybe like 100 people or 200, 300 people, something like that, and you're standing there where you're close enough that you can like hear the instruments that's not coming out of the PA.
Yeah.
And there's just I think I think that's the best, my favorite way to experience music. And it's like it's like a band that, you know, they're not like famous or anything, but they're just like really, really good. And who cares? Like they don't care. They're not trying to be famous. They just love playing. And it's just that feeling of it's contagious. Or you, you're a friend like says, hey, you got to check out this band. They're really good. And you go to like a small club and you see this band and it's really good and the hair sticking up on your arms. And that's, I think, my favorite way to see music or to experience music.
Yeah, I mean, when we go down to South by every year in Austin, I mean, there's always at least one of those moments during the week that we're there. You know, a
Yeah,
band you see at a bar or like, a flower shop or whatever that just blows your mind, you know?
that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, band at a flower shop. That's cool.
So we're doing Americana Fest next month in Nashville. Have you been to Nashville?
Oh yeah. I had this like 3 year stint where I just decided like, you know, I have a lot of bands that I love that record in Nashville. I have a lot of like there was this band called Pujol that I was really into that like, Third Man Records put out like a little 7-inch and I got
Nice.
my hands on it and I was like obsessed with this band. And I heard they just kicked around East Nashville and played at like small places. And then I kept hearing East Nashville, East Nashville, East Nashville. And so I was like, I've never been down there. I'm just gonna go down and I want to make a tape. I want to make a cassette tape, like live. I want to find a cool underground studio, like a house studio or something. I'm going to go make some friends, ask around, and then find out where the studio. And I'm going to go in there. I'm going to play like 6 songs live, and we're going to cut it to tape. And then whatever we cut, we're not going to like edit it. We're just going to put it out raw on tape. And I just wanted to do a record that way in Nashville. And so I started that journey of driving down there and just meeting people, like trying to meet people and ask. And like the first 3 people I met were like, you got to go to Battle Tapes. You got to go to Battle Tapes. Jeremy, you got to go to work with Jeremy at Battle Tapes. And I was like, all right, well, there we go. And I booked a session with him and his studio's like in his garage. And I was like, this is perfect. And we set up everything up. And I was like, I want it to sound like really dirty. Like, I don't know, like Iggy and the Stooges or something. Like, and I want like everything to sound like it's, like, can we like have everything like kind of be like garagey and like blowing out or whatever. And he was just
Sure.
like, sure. And then he just kind of set up some mics and then we hit record. And a bunch of those songs were the first take. A couple of them we did like a couple of takes, but we didn't splice anything. It was just like, oh, let's run that again, hit record. Okay, that one was good. And so everything on that garage, it's called Garage Folk. Everything on that record was just live and raw. And like Jeremy ran it like into a tape machine and then like mixed it before we recorded. Like he mixed the levels before we cut it. And then like we sent it off to John Baldwin and he mastered it. And that was like the quickest record I've ever made. And I just wanted to do one that way. And I wanted to do it in Nashville. And I ended up on those trips going down there, like just going down, like every time I had like 2 or 3 days off, just going down and just checking out the venues, just walking into random shows, making friends. I've made so many like cool like connections and friends and just by kicking around East Nashville and had so many cool experiences. I did that for 3 years, maybe once or twice a month would go down there. And it got to the point where I found a room for rent and I moved all my stuff down there into this room, but all my gigs were still in Annapolis. So I was in Annapolis, like sleeping on couches and stuff. But then, I'd have like a week or two and I'd go down to Nashville and I'd have my stuff there and I'd try to, and that didn't work very long, but it's hard. It's hard to make that transition because like all my gigs were up here. And Nashville's like, a lot of people that live, a lot of musicians that call Nashville home are like on the road a lot, right? Like, yeah. So it was definitely worth it. Like just experiencing the venues and the food and like just so many cool friends and stuff that I still keep in touch with and friends that I made down there that come up and play my showcase at 49 West. And I got, I just got nothing but good things to say about East Nashville.
Yeah.
Like, it's really, I wish I could, I wish I could pull some of the crazy stories out right now, but that's for another podcast, maybe.
Yeah, no, all good, man. I
So you're going down to Americana Fest.
Yep, we were in there in 2018 on our way back from Jazz Fest in New Orleans because I just wanted to see Nashville. So we spent like 3 nights then. We got to see Buddy Guy and Kingfish open up for him at the Ryman,
Oh
which is
wow.
fantastic.
That's
And then yeah, what else? We saw somebody else. But anyway, we went to the Five Spot, which I'm sure you're familiar with.
yeah.
And so it was a Tuesday night, and it was like their $2 Tuesdays. I think it was like $2 cover, $2 beers, and it was, just this band. Well, it was fucking Pat Sansone and the other guy from Wilco, because they're all from
Oh,
Nashville, and they did this like '60s like UK like rock the entire night. So it was like the Kinks, like old
nice.
Rolling Stones, like stuff like that. It was great, man. Like, and it was us and like
That's one of
35
those
people.
venues like where it's really small, but like you'll see like some big names in there, but you
Yeah.
feel like you're just like hanging out with friends in a living room or something. That's a great venue.
Yep. And then Grimey's, the record store. I mean, we saw Molly Tuttle there doing acoustic like performance there.
Oh wow.
Fantastic. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, she's great.
Yep. So
Um,
yeah, we're going down for Americana Fest. We're going to cover it. We'll be there the Tuesday to Friday. I think it's Tuesday to Saturday, but it seemed like a lot of the stuff only went until Friday. There wasn't as much on like that Saturday. And then the Bourbon and Beyond Festival starts that Thursday night that we're there.
oh cool.
So that's like 200,000 people that are doing that.
Wow.
Yeah, so it'll be I'm looking forward to it. Hopefully it won't be like ungodly hot, but oh well.
Well, if you're down in when you're down in Nashville, if you want a good lunch spot, check out Mitchell's. I go there every time I'm in town. It's like
Okay.
Riverside. It's a good spot.
Perfect. Yeah. Always. We'll definitely hit up Hattie B's, I'm sure.
Cool.
Southern Grist for some beers because I love Southern Grist.
Cool.
But yeah, you'll have to tell me any other places or anybody that we can get in contact with down there
Yeah,
too.
I'll do my best.
Yeah.
I'll send you some links or something.
Oh yeah, man. So last question. So tour dates. What do we got for the rest of the year that you can talk about, and any new music that you got coming out?
Yeah, man. So the next big show is September 6th, and it's my friend Dar is setting up the first Maryland Cigar Box Festival. She plays them all over the country, and Maryland doesn't have one, and so uh, we're doing it at Union Brewing.
Mhm.
It's free
Union
to get
Craft,
in.
right?
What's that?
It's Union Craft Brewing, right?
Union Craft Brewing in Baltimore,
Yeah.
in like near Hamden, and it's going to be free to get in. And there's going to be like just some gnarly instruments like the canjo and like some probably like upright bass man out of a coffin. You never know what you're going to see, but there's going to be like cool vendors selling homemade instruments and cigar boxes, and um, there's going to be good beer. Union's going to be pouring beer, and I'll be doing a set there, and the poster's out. It's Maryland Cigar Box Festival. You can you can find it on my page too,
Okay.
and that's September 6th. I'm really looking forward to that. There's a lot of hard work going into it, and this will be the first annual, and we want to really get people out there because like it could turn into a yearly thing. And Dar's been tracking down sponsors and volunteers and just
Oh, I think we lost him. We'll pause for a second. Ladies and gentlemen, when you're talking to an artist on the road in the middle of Connecticut, sometimes you lose Wi-Fi, and that's what happens. So, thank you to Scribe for doing the interview. Make sure to support him any way you can. See him at his shows, support his music, support his endeavors. It was great to talk to him. So, again, thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. Don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe to our YouTube channel, our social media pages. That helps us. That helps the bands and artists like Scribe. Also, check out our sponsor, RAR Outfitters. That's RAWR, outfitters.com. Don't just wear, RAR. And as always, ladies and gentlemen, I've been Dog. You've been great. This is the Music Lab Podcast.